Welcome, everybody. It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior, and this is CyberWarriorStudios. And we all know you're here for Security Happy Hour, and we got an amazing show planned with a lot of big news. So much big news. But before we get started, just kind of we got to take a quick break. Give me 10 seconds. And we're back. And you know what? Like I said, it's going to be a big show. We got a lot of big things planned. But before I get started, I want to introduce to you my friend, my partner in crime, my co-host. He's been missing for a few weeks, but I still love him. The one and only Eric Velardo. Eric, how's it going, brother?
Doing wonderful today. Just getting ready for this show. So let's get started.
Definitely. So with me, yes, I was supposed to have Paul Cummings on today. Unfortunately, due to some issues, he could not. But he sent us graciously an amazing replacement in form of Alex. Alex, thank you for joining us. And Paul, hey, checking in from the ER. Please stay safe, Paul. Let me know what's going on. Keep me in the loop. And I hope that we can do you proud. So Alex better, bring it today. He's got to bring it all. So Alex,
see what I can do.
Introduce yourself.
All right. So my name is Alex Rhodes, one of the co-directors for Whole Cyber Human Initiative, trying to help people out, get them some education, get them started in cybersecurity and fill some of these gaps.
Yeah, definitely. That's been one of the big things is people talk about is the gaps in cybersecurity and finding jobs or hiring or just it goes on. The education, it's just crazy because it's kind of a catch-22 where it's like you need experience or education to get into cyber, and sometimes you need both because we've all seen the job descriptions out there. But then at the same time, it's very hard to get some of these certifications without a company that's going to pay money for it because they're so expensive and it is very difficult to get. So before we get into the very, very big news, just because I like to keep people hanging and waiting, why don't you explain a little bit more about Whole Cyber Human Initiative and kind of what they've been doing prior to what's coming down the pipeline?
Okay, so it's a nonprofit organization. We're set up to get anybody, all ages, K through 12, college, people starting out in cybersecurity. That's their first job. People that are pivoting from other careers into cybersecurity and looking for a change, and provide them 100 hours of free training. All types of stuff, lots of hands-on training. We try to cover a little bit of everything in the cyber color wheel. So, get you some red team, some blue team, some GRC, architect, just a little bit of everything, get you a broad foundational knowledge so you know what's going on and what you're looking at. Expose them to the 52 cyber roles. Here's everything out there. Kind of learn what the roles are and how they work with you and what you're looking to do so that you can get a career that you are interested in, not just, oh, I've heard of this red team and pen test thing and that sounds cool, and then you find out I have no clue how to type on a keyboard. Or SOC, everybody talks about being a SOC analyst and blue team, and that's where the money is, so let's go do that. And then you realize I don't like shift work and I don't want to stare at 6 monitors looking at logs all night long. So, there's tons of jobs out there and there's lots of room for everybody. So we try and get them lined up with careers that they're interested in, that they're passionate about, and something that'll work for them and hopefully get them a great career.
So, Alex, one of the things that happens every time that we have a new person in cyber, and they come to us and say things like, I want to be in cyber, I want to learn how to hack. But like you said, there's 52 jobs out there.
I just want to know who counted the 52. Wwho found out there's 52 roles?
That's
nice. Nice, yeah.
This nice.
God damn.
Okay,
So that
so
might
the
be a job in
question,
and of itself.
so the question is, how do you present people with saying, okay, so now you want to enter the field? What are the jobs, or how do you counsel people and say where their passions are? How do you go?
So one of the first things we have them do is look at the NICE framework from, was it CISA or NIST? I forget the
Yes.
exact one, but yeah, go look at this, read them, ask questions, interview other people in the field. They can talk with us and figure out what they're interested in. But read through. Don't just look at the job, but look at what does it entail. Okay,
Yeah.
SOC sounds great. Okay, well, what does it entail? Oh, you sit behind all these monitors. You look at logs. You work on the defense side. And if you go, defense isn't my thing, then you kind of realize maybe I should look at something else. So there's a Discord that we have so people can come in and ask questions as well and try and learn from others that are in the field. But we definitely recommend interview others, find out about the different jobs, and think about what you do in your life and what you're interested in, what you like, line it up with some of the jobs on the NICE framework, and start narrowing it down to things that are of interest. And
Yeah, and
then
I think you could watch about like 50 of my 96. Yeah, that's right. No, wait, this is episode 97, I believe. 96, 97, somewhere around there. But about 50 of them, we talk about the different careers. Just saying. Read logs while listening to Walk With Me. I'm not going to say the word, but you are correct, Robert. I know what Eric wants me to say, and I'm not going to say it. You know what? This is me. Fuck it. Yeah, I will. Walk With Me is my podcast. We just released our 7th episode this week, and it is amazing. So make sure you check that out also. Which, by the way, speaking of things like that, I want to get back on topic. But Eric, I came out with some new merch, but it was suggested that I come out with a dancing granny shirt. So we will have to make that happen. We will have to get a dancing granny shirt or hoodie or something like that. So I don't know what the legality is of having her on a shirt, but we're going to have to figure it out.
Well, I'll talk to her.
Okay. But Alex, yeah, it is crazy because we've had so many people on this show that we discuss the red team, the blue team. I've been both sides. Eric's been both sides. He loves blue team though. That's like his bread and butter. I don't know why he likes looking at logs all day, but he does. That's like, it gives him his jollies. He sees logs and gets happy. But I do. I think we've done so much with that. But what I love about it is you mentioned that the 52 rules, 52, meaning GRC. And that is something that is not looked upon. And there's one more that I want to bring up because it was brought to my attention when I put out that I was looking for newbies to be on. Whoops. I'll talk about that later. But one more rule. Cyber law. I think that is something that we don't talk about enough because there's not enough laws out there. So getting into cyber law is another avenue that could be potentially a great fit for somebody. And
yeah,
I just think it's there.
So previously, before I retired from the Army, I did digital forensics. I was a CID agent. So did investigations, worked with several lawyers who had specialized in digital law. And we had a lot of conversations about, how does cloud play into the data on your phone? Because it's almost seamless. So where does that search warrant end? Is it physically the phone? If you're already logged in and you stay logged in, does that search warrant, expand out to your cloud account? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Was it GDPR? You got HIPAA, FERPA, all the different rules and regulations and laws that apply to cybersecurity and information assurance. So yeah, that's a great one as well, especially if you're in law enforcement or studying to be a lawyer.
Yeah, and I've seen, actually, speaking of that, because you brought up like HIPAA and the different regulations. We had them on about 2 weeks ago, the Cyber Queens. Their new episode that dropped this week was about the privacy and HIPAA regulations, the issues with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So we're not talking the ethical ramifications. We're talking privacy and actual regulation. They go into a lot of detail on what the ramifications of with that happening. So please, if you're interested in that, go check them out after this. Not now, after. But yeah, it is crazy because there's a lot of different regulations. You mentioned GDPR. So that's going to be huge. It really is. But with all this, with all these jobs, with everything going on, before I'll do my spiel near the end, but I want you right now, what is on the docket for whole cyber human initiative and what are we gearing up for?
All right. So was it about a week or two ago we launched the fundraiser, trying to get 25,000 initially. So of that, we're looking to hand out about 50 certification vouchers up to $400. So as people are going through this 100 hours of training, or if they're not going through our pipeline, but if they're working, trying to break into cybersecurity, we have an application so they can apply to try and win the scholarship. And some of it will, of course, keep us afloat so we can continue to do great things for people. But, you know, the big piece of it is the scholarship. And as Paul pointed out, it's competitive. So the advisory board, once Paul's come up with everything and we all agree upon how we're going to do the competition, everybody applies. The advisory board will determine who's going to be the winners, and then we'll start handing out scholarships, and people can get certifications and hopefully break into cybersecurity.
That is awesome. And that's the big thing. Because like we said in the beginning, it's that funding. It's that catch-22 of these certifications are $1,000 or $500 or whatever. And when you're talking about especially the underrepresented population, you're talking women's, blacks, Latins, everything like that, trying to break into cyber, a lot of them don't have the ability to save up the money to go and pay for these certifications because they're working full-time trying to fend for themselves. And I don't know if anybody has seen rent lately, but rent is through the roof. So even if you're trying to live on your own, it's ridiculous. So doing all this, it makes it almost impossible to become educated and not like to pay for these certifications. And you can get all the free education in the world, but too many companies are looking for certifications or experience or both. And so having this ability to get this scholarship will help so many people out.
And that's one of the nice things. So without the 100 hours of training in our pipeline, there's a lot of labs, hands-on training. So you're actually getting the experience. It's not job experience, but you're setting up a lab. You're setting up your home lab, building VMs, maybe setting up a firewall, looking at some logs, setting up a SIEM, things of that nature. So you're getting experience that you can actually use as you go into an interview and talk about, hey, I've done these things.
Yeah, definitely.
That's very important because I keep on telling everybody in our foundation that it's not just showing the things that you've learned, it's the things that you've done as well. So being able to show that you've done these labs, that you've done the try hack me's and the hack the box and CTFs and setting up your home lab and things like that. Those are things that directly translate to a cybersecurity resume.
Yeah.
So with that, because I've done the same thing, Eric's done the same thing, Alex, you're talking about the same thing. One of the big things about that is being able to put yourself out there. So let me ask this: with whole cyber human initiative, hey, the big bald is your guy. Thanks for tuning in, brother. We had Paul put up here. The second piece of the scholarship will be the community challenge. So 30 scholarship winners, 20 for the top submissions for the community challenge. So it's going to be amazing. I think it's 50 scholarships. So it's absolutely crazy what you guys are doing. But are you guys promoting like being a content creator, not for making money, but for the purposes of putting yourself out there and showing how you're learning and things like that, or doing blog posts, or being more visible on LinkedIn? Like, are these things that you promote within your organization? Because I know we do, but I'm just curious if that's just part of the journey of, hey, you may not have a job, but if you do these things, it shows you know what you're talking about and you're not just writing it on paper.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point with the community challenge. I don't know if you've looked into that. I've read through it a couple months ago. I don't know if anybody's actually taken it up, just because Paul kind of took a dive off the deep end. If you've looked at it at all. So, I mean, it's basically all encompassing. You set up some VMs, you go in, scan them, create a POAM, find all the vulnerabilities, maybe do some research on some CVEs that are inherent in them, go in, patch them. Then you can kind of do the red team, see if you can get into the machine when it's vulnerable, see if you can get into it after it's been remediated. The whole time that's going on, you set up some sort of a SIEM. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So Paul says it isn't even that extreme. And of course, Alex like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, the community thing, as we've talked before in the show, it's about learning in public. It's about showing what you do, showing what you're learning, and it's about showing where you are in your journey. And when you learn in public and you become, known for learning, you attract people to you that'll help you take that next step or support you in your journey or get you that first job, that first opportunity.
Yeah, kind of sounds like a network or a team.
What? What? Those exist? No. But yeah, that's one of the big things. And that's what I think comes down to. And what I do love about the community challenge is it fits into even the name, the whole cyber human initiative. To me, not only does that speak to an individual human trying to break into cyber, but all of us collectively working as a team and working as a unit to do these things. And I think we get away from that. We see too much drama, too much ego, too much elitism, and we get away from the whole fact. Yeah, we get away from the fact that we're in this together.
Hold on for a second. What is the one phrase that I always say in almost every show?
Diversity of thought.
And security is a team sport.
Lies. It's my job.
Yep. It's a team sport. We can't do it alone. There's 52 jobs, like we say, and more. It's, we all need to help. Okay. And that's why we have Dancing Granny, because we don't want Cyber Warrior dancing.
No, you don't. You really don't. It'd be all bad things. I don't think I could drink enough to dance anymore. Actually, that's a lie. I probably could. But no, I do. I think it's amazing, and what you're doing is amazing. And there's a lot of great organizations out there that are attempting to do the same thing, maybe from a different perspective or to a different audience. But it is still great to see an organization that is trying to get everybody in there, that is trying to make a difference and really help bring the education to the forefront and the ability to really put yourself out there. But what I do love is what Paul says here. The challenge is not meant to be done solo. It's not. And this has been my issue with red teams and pen testing organizations. I'm waiting for the Cyber Warrior OnlyFans. Ain't gonna happen, Daniel. It ain't gonna happen. Well, maybe if I get broke enough, since some people don't love me. So if I ever get broke enough, it might happen. But no, even like when I was going through courses, and you look at like the SAN CTFs and like all their challenges and things like that, none of those are done individual. A lot of those that I've went through, you were on a team of 4 or 5, but still a team. And so cybersecurity is always a team. It's your GRC, your blue team, your red team. And I don't know what blue, red, and green make. I know blue and red is purple. If we throw green in there, I don't know what color you get, but that's
Brown.
essentially what we need. Brown sounds bad. All right. Look, if I think a brown team, I'm not thinking of people. I'm thinking of something that completely different, and it's not good. So we'll go purple with green. Okay. We're just going to say purple and green is what you need. But yeah, it is.
I know some teams that we can call the brown team.
Oh yeah, there are for sure. But I think what you need to throw in there, and so let me ask you this: when you guys do all these and you're teaching all this, how much of it is foundational IT knowledge?
That's what a good chunk of it is. So you start out, and it's a foundational knowledge. You need to build. I don't care. Let's say you're going red team. Okay, well, you need to learn blue team. You need to learn purple team. You need to learn how a firewall works, how a switch works. How to install an OS. So start up a VM, download an ISO, build it, learn how to configure it. If you can't do these things when it comes time to do your pen test because you're red team, how are you going to get Kali installed or Parrot?
What about more foundational? Like some people that don't know OS or networking, what's a subnet mask and why do we use it? Those kinds of things.
What's an ONOFF switch? Yeah, I mean,
that's 710, the 710 oil.
Yep.
ID 10. Yeah. No.
You might catch some jokes in the Discord, but we all start somewhere. I don't know there you go.
Cyber Ace is one of the first trainings to be done in our pipeline for Eric's question, and that is amazing. And I truly appreciate that because that is one of the things. And anybody who's watched KevTech IT support and understands how much I support him, it is because he teaches the foundations of IT as well. So between Whole Cyber Human Initiative, KevTech, there's just so many different ways, but I really think you need that foundational understanding of computers, of operating systems, and networking to make your success come easier. I'm not going to say you won't be a success without it. I'm just going to say it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier if you get that knowledge first.
Yeah. So going back to one of my former jobs, digital forensics, how are you going to know where these artifacts are within the computer? How are you going to know, how to go down into binary or hex and read some of this information, carve out files? If you don't have that foundational knowledge, you're going to press a button and hope that the tool was tested and it works properly, and you're going to rely on, the easy button and hope you find everything. So it's the same for all the other tools and everything you do within cybersecurity. If you don't have that foundational knowledge and know what right looks like and how the basic, computer works, the network works, the tools work, you won't know what you're actually doing. You'll press a button and hope you get the right product.
And one of the big things for me, especially as a pen tester, is you have to understand networking, the basics. Like, subnets are big, but understanding ports and what they do and how they talk and everything else like that. But for me, let's see, John Good says anybody can press a button if everything works. But what about when it doesn't? You can't think critically if you don't understand the fundamentals. Very true. Yeah. Spot on, John. Paul comes back in. Or how are you going to be a SOC analyst if you don't know OSI or TCP IP model for application and network security? Again, valid points. All this stuff takes precedence and understanding the foundations. And even when and Fabio,
I'll tell him a joke, about UDP, but I don't know if he'll get it.
He might. You never know. But
did you not get the joke?
I did. UDP? I did. Did you not get it?
I got it.
Did you receive it? But yeah, it's crazy. And I look at, as a pen tester, the sysvol information and the amount of information that is the amount of data you can get from your backups from Windows, from your restore files that are all in sysvol. And if you don't know about sysvol, then how are you going to be able to test everything? How are you going to be able to find that joke gets no handshake? But how are you going to be able to find these things? And if you and I was going through and doing OSCP labs with somebody who didn't even know what 2 files were needed to crack a Windows password. So if you don't know how this information is stored, how can you effectively do the job without understanding the basics of how the operating systems you're going to go after actually function?
Yeah, and so I mean that's the whole point of the foundational knowledge. So it's not just here's a quick, take a couple of courses. Oh, you're a SOC analyst, level 1, go forth and do great things. But let's talk about GRC and learn how policies work and why they're important, because maybe that policy was never written and or enforced, and so you think you might have an alert and something's going on, but that was something that was never discussed. So the port was never closed. Now you got to figure out, hey, what's this team doing? What's that team doing?
Yeah, for sure. And that's the big thing, is if you don't understand the different positions. And I think people take jobs and are like, I only got to worry about this siloed thing. And when in reality, let's be honest, blue team can't do their job with vuln management without IT. Red team can do their job all day, but if they're not helping the blue team and saying, I did X, Y, and Z, the blue team don't know what the hell's going on and what to fix.
Well, that's the foundational thing. It's like, why do we have a red team? Why do we have a, pen test versus a red team? Is to help the SecOps people to solidify and defend and find the vulnerabilities and test them. One place closes the windows, the other one rattles the windows.
Well, and then they both have to talk to GRC and look at the policies, look at all the paperwork, everything for the organization. Hey, okay, this is a vulnerability. This is what we have, so we need to address it on the POAM. Let's do some patch management. Are people going out?
So we got Paul. It doesn't have to be deep general IT either. It really is the basics. Too many managers I have talked to from persons who were interviewed, rejected, did not know sysmon or what a process really is.
Yeah, so that's part of it as well. Is we're trying to get. I don't think we got it scheduled over the summer, but we're trying to get here in the next couple months a webinar going with HR, hiring managers. Get some of the more senior people in and get them to understand. This is what cyber is, but okay, so you're in charge of the blue team, but if you're not talking to the red team and the white team and all the other colors and sharing the information and getting this out there, then you're doing your entire company and everybody that works within cyber a huge disservice. So we'll see if we can get it happening. I know Paul's been working on it.
Well, one of the things I just spoke to a very senior HR people manager, and he was telling me that he's got a challenge hiring security people because the HR hiring managers don't know how to read a security person's resume and what is the difference in the field on how to understand the challenges that they're looking at. So, being able to, I say it all the time, being able to talk to those hiring managers, those middle managers, those directors, those people that are going to be, hiring these new folks coming in and helping them understand that, you've got to take a chance on these folks that are coming up and you stop looking for purple unicorns, somebody that has 20 years experience in a tool that's been around for 3 years,
Yeah, and how many times do you see where the company doesn't want to pay that unicorn, what they should be worth?
Well,
So
well, that's why they make it a junior position, so they don't have to pay them. So we're looking for the rainbow unicorn, but we're going to pay you the rate of a 1 year, never been in the field type of person.
is that
And
why all
I've got a personal experience where I've seen companies trying to hire somebody that is literally 3 job descriptions in one person, and that person doesn't exist. And they say, "No, we need this." And you're like, I did an interview, I told a person, and I did 125 interviews, 0 hires.
I think if you, as whole cyber human initiative, are talking to these HR and talking to the senior managers, I think that's great things, because I think that's something that's not done often enough. Here is where I question people: is we know that there's security risks, we know that there's breaches, we get trained on cyber awareness, or at least you're supposed to. So if you're going to hire for cyber and your HR doesn't know what it is or what terms to look for or what they're actually looking for, then why are we still relying on them to filter things?
Policy, legacy, because that's the way, companies
Don't
operate.
say that's the way it is, that's the way it's always been. I absolutely despise that
I know
statement.
that. I know that, but that's the challenge. A hiring manager in a bigger company would say, "Here's my job description." They submit it to HR. HR puts it out and does the initial screening. The problem is that the HR people need to be just like everybody out there. We've got to teach them the security. We got to teach these HR folks. This is Don't just look at the JD and look at the keywords, or the brass ring systems, and copy and paste and say they need a CISSP and you know eh, a PhD in cybersecurity, and you're
right.
eliminating 90% of the people.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to put
That's
this
the
up
way.
because it's the Mandalorian. This is the way. And it's unfortunately it's true. And it is how it's been for so long. It really is. But that's why I always tell people, because of how difficult it is to get into this field, start networking now. Now,
Right? Meow.
with the managers, with the CISOs, with the directors, with the actual engineers, with the people you may eventually be working with. Because when the time comes that you're looking for work, whether you're in college, if you're watching this and in high school, please, I beg of you, build a LinkedIn profile and start doing this, because it is very much, you have to network. Because then when you submit your resume, nice Grogu. I love it. Grogu's awesome. Baby Yoda. So when you start looking for work or need a job, you have to be able to talk to these people after you built a rapport. Please do not message them and be like, "Hey, I applied to a job. Have you seen it?" No, 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 no. Actually build that rapport, have built up the network and been saying, "I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Here's my blog, here's my YouTube video, here's my Twitch stream, here's whatever." And then once your name's out there and you message them like, "Hey, look, I applied like 5 weeks ago. I haven't heard anything. Can you give me an update?" Don't beg. You're just asking. It is very much a part of the job. We should revisit a stream just to dissect the community challenge and how it is a part of everything that has been said so far. Oh, I love it. Alex, you read it. Alex, can you dissect it and go into it?
I don't know where I have it stored. It's been a while since I've read it, but so you got red team, you got blue team. You build your VMs, You do your scans, build out a POAM, come up with a plan for remediation. You try and get into them, before they've been remediated. Go ahead and remediate them, get them all as nice and secure as you can. Try and get into them afterwards. Set up some sort of a scene. So as you're trying to get in and do your pen test of these VMs, see what you can find on your tools. See if you leave any trace on the network. Once all that's done, you start your report writing. So you're doing your pen test report, you're doing your blue team report. Are there policy changes that need to happen? So start writing on that. Lots of soft skills that are built into that, not just sitting behind a keyboard and getting into something or remediating some vulnerabilities, but let's build up a report. Let's come up with a spreadsheet for a POAM. Start working on networking, talking to people. How did you do this? How can I do this better? Oh, here's what I found. This VM is super vulnerable. Here's where you can get some great ones. So work on those communication skills. Lots of good stuff there.
Yeah, and so part of that challenge is going to be the networking aspect, going to be the documentation, going to be kind of documenting your way through this whole thing. And again, it is learning in public. It is making it known what you're doing, which is a very big part of putting your name out there. And I think so many people see movies like Hackers or something along those lines where it's like, oh, I got to have a pseudonym, or I gotta be anonymous, and nobody can ever know who I am, and I can never show my face because I'm a hacker, and I got to be elite and all this other stuff. When the reality is, people are more approachable than you may think. Take a chance, reach out. Very true. Actually, I had a buddy do that for SpaceX. But when you put yourself out there and quit trying to be anonymous, it is so much easier to get jobs in this career field. So much easier. And I think so much of people struggling to get work right now and struggling to find jobs are those too afraid to actually network and put themselves out there.
And if you're an introvert and you don't feel comfortable, being out there and putting yourself out there, there's other ways that you can do it. Put a blog together, write down what you've learned, show, do your GitHub, do things like that you can have a body of work that you can show somebody. And that's very important.
One thing I forgot with the community challenge, and it's important for whatever of the 52 jobs you go into, is the research piece.
Yep.
So you got to research, what VM you're going to use, what OSs you're going to use, what ones are inherently vulnerable. Are there any CVEs? Research that, see if you can reproduce the attack. You start networking, trying to figure out what someone else is doing and how they're getting something done, or if they start asking you for help, you start researching the people. So that leads to, once you're done, now you start researching companies, find people that are doing jobs that you want to do, research how to break into cybersecurity. It's a big portion of every single thing we do. If you can't research, you're going to have some difficulties.
That is the number one skill in cybersecurity. Doesn't matter what you do. It's learn how to learn.
Yep.
Research. One of the questions I ask when I interview people is a question that's meant for people to say, I will Google that.
I'll DuckDuckGo it.
You're
not hired.
I'd actually probably hire someone if they said DuckDuckGo instead of Google. That would probably get you hired real quick.
I want Google or YouTube.
No GitHub?
Yo, hey, GitHub is amazing. But Stack Overflow, that's your go-to. If you're a coder, go to Stack Overflow. I've done it, man. I've written scripts and been like, let me look this up. And I look it up and it's like Stack Overflow. And I'm like reading through everything going, Oh, that's what I need. Okay, let me copy and paste that in real quick.
Yeah,
Mary says, Team
Team
YouTube,
YouTube.
baby.
yeah, you have to learn where to go and find what you're looking for, how to search, word your question in a search engine to get the results you want.
And
Writing
Rebecca here,
reports.
writing reports is important. Everyone wants to break into stuff, but do not want to write reports, or the report written is hot garbage. Look, don't judge me, Rebecca. All right. That is why we have QA at the company I work for, so that my reports aren't hot garbage.
Seen his reports.
But no, and she's right. Here's the kicker. And I want every single person right now watching to understand this. We have talked about the people skills, the soft skills. Report writing is part of or maybe even not reports, but being able to write is part of every cyber security job. You're either writing policy or you're doing things. DuckDuckGo doesn't have a good ring to it. Like, I'll Google it. For DuckDuckGo, is it I'll duck it? Hey, if you can't duck it, fuck it. but writing is part of your job every day. Every job you get requires writing.
Yeah.
I don't know one that doesn't, except for maybe like your trades, like electrical and carpenter and everything else like that. But if you're in a professional setting like cybersecurity, IT, or what have you, whether you're closing tickets or responding to emails or whatever it is you're doing, you have to be able to articulate your thoughts in written word. And it is very, very vital to your success. Do you agree, Alex?
Very much so. That was a big piece of doing digital forensics. So every case we had, at some point, we had to write a report, and it had to be written in such a way that it was, allowed in court if the case went to court. So there was a lot of red pen. If it was a printed out report, or if it was through Word, there was a lot of someone going through and making a bunch of edits. But yeah, everything was QC'd at 2 or 3 levels and lots of documentation. And then the notes for everything we did was equally ridiculous. I mean, a 15-page report for forensics might have 100, 150 pages of notes just documenting how you set up everything, what tools you use, the versions, the steps that you took to find everything, where you research things online. There's lots of documentation.
Yeah, I've found that in every job I've had, whether it was as a SIM engineer, a pen tester, working in vuln management as a consultant, every job I've ever had in cybersecurity, and everybody I know, you have to be able to have written communication skills.
Yeah. And as you proceed in the levels, it goes from detailed note taking to communication, or an effective communication with your teams and your leads. When you become a lead, or you become a manager, or you become a director, as you go up the chain, you'll start needing to communicate, needing to present, needing to know how to do Excel, and how to write and communicate effectively. So that's something that continues with you as you proceed. As a CISO, being able to work with the boards and the C-suite, it's about doing everything that you said in 153 pages, in 3 slides.
Yeah, and John Good, once again, has it here. He's never had a cybersecurity job where he hasn't had to have written communication policies, procedures, or some type of report presentable internally or externally. I get harped on to this day of having to add more detail, or having to fix grammar, or something along those lines. And you have to be able to explain things on multiple levels, a technical level and an executive level, and sometimes even a
You
mid-tier
first
level.
need to learn how to speak English. So
It can
I'm
help.
from Pittsburgh, so don't judge me, homie. but you have to be able to articulate your thoughts in such a way that multiple people and multiple levels of the organization can understand it. And if you can't do that, then
Then you have to
you're
learn.
great.
Then you have to
Yeah.
train. Then you have to, do other things. And that's where, classes, that whole cyber human initiative and is doing on communication and writing and those kinds of things, and things that we're doing with Raices and how to communicate and how to present and things like that. These organizations, you don't just focus on the technical skills,
Yep.
because we're a whole human. As Alex and Paul like to say, we're a whole human. So it's getting the technical, getting the humans. I don't like calling them soft skills. I like to call
People
them
skills.
human skills.
Human skills. Same
Yep.
thing. And it's very true. And that's something that we need to do more often. And I think we need to promote more. And it is something that I think we don't promote enough of. And this is where I think LinkedIn comes in. On Twitter, you're restricted to what, the amount of characters you can use. So your grammar gets all messed up and you have to use acronyms and all this other nonsense. But LinkedIn, especially if you're trying to network professionally and do things the right way, you can really perfect how you speak professionally and how you interact in a professional setting by having that freedom to give out your points of view, while at the same time, you could just write a LinkedIn article and put out in a blog post about it. So there's so many different ways that you can perfect your ability to speak and write in this way. If there are recruiters or HR tuning in, our program can turn you into a super recruiter. We have one in the pipeline and loves that she can speak to an applicant's skills and knowledge. Oh, I have schooled recruiters because of when they called me. I've done it before I got this job. Actually, when I first tried out of the Army. I love this, Paul. Rebecca Fisher, presentation skills. I would include budgeting skills as well to be able to articulate funds needed to upgrade your programs.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad you're coming on the show, Rebecca. Oh, I didn't mention that. Rebecca will be on my show actually in I think 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be amazing. And that leads that at the end of the episode, you'll hear why. But yes, she's very right. Budgeting and being able to work numbers and understand numbers and how to speak to the executive level is vital to the success of cybersecurity within organizations. So yeah, it is this ability to communicate. And again, the whole human, the ability to write, the ability to speak. I like it for getting newbies acquainted with what wrong looks like. I'm right here. I'm what wrong looks like. Nah, I'm just messing. Look, I do. I think it is great because there are things that you can use as long as it is redacted in such a way that you're not putting someone on blast. Unless they deserve it. I mean, some people really do deserve it, let's be honest. But when it comes to how you can articulate thoughts, how you can write things, there are so many ways you can do it and do it professionally that as long as you do it in that manner and you're able to convey thoughts in that manner to where an executive will understand it and listen to you, it is vital to your success. Because that means that you will go from technical, hands-on keyboard, up a level, because you can now communicate at levels that others cannot. And that is where you will get success that others won't, because if they're not willing to learn the ability to write and the ability to articulate their thoughts, then they can't communicate at that level.
Yeah, no, you have to be able to communicate to the executives. Okay, this is a new tool. This is why we need it. But not only this is why we need it, but this is what it will do for the company. Here's how we can help secure the company so that you can continue to have a job.
Wait, you need a job?
Pays the bills.
But look, there were 2 comments just now. A, We need a course on how to speak to C-level. So Paul, Alex, if you guys have that, please tag me in whatever posts, and I will promote the hell out of it because it is vital. And then we had one from John here, and this is very important to how I speak.
Hold on.
Oh, it's Paul!
He finally shows up. Awesome.
Hold on.
So we do have this comment here before we get Paul. I love you, homie. We will get to you in a second. Build people up in ways that they can understand. Don't focus on tearing them down. It is very, 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 very important. You should always be bringing someone up with you. If you are tearing people down, you really need to take a look at yourself and figure out why you're insecure and don't feel comfortable in your job. But now that I've said that, Paul, who is on mute. Paul, thank you for finally being able to join us. I know you've been dealing with a lot of bullshit. So, how are you doing, Paul?
Good. We're just waiting to see what the results come back for. So, more testing, right? More testing.
But
That's what it is. I like the lights in the back.
I'm glad that, I was like, I hear Alex start talking about the challenge. It's think of it as what was the story behind it? Let's see. You're a brand new security analyst. Notice I said security analyst. I didn't say cybersecurity analyst because HR gets those terms very, very muddied, right? I apply for a security analyst role because I think it's cyber. And next thing you know, I'm doing vulnerability and threat management. Oh, man. Now I'm just doing patches and stuff like that. So the idea is you're walking into a Fortune 500 company. You're brand new. You are it. They have fired their entire, or it doesn't even have to be they fired. You'd be walking in as a consultant because in cyber, the minute you get hired, you're a consultant. No matter what role you are a consultant. And you're also a salesperson because you have to sell what you know is right to do. So the concept is you walk in. Your first task, the CISO, the CIO, the CTO, whoever, we need to get a baseline of our system. So with this, you're going to walk in and you are going to get a vulnerable Windows VM. You're going to scan it. You're going to do your findings report. While you're doing your findings report, you start documenting because what does that mean for a red teamer, right? I find vulnerabilities. That means it must be a Metasploitable out. So I start building my dossier for my red team attack, right? But you're going through, you're doing, maybe you're doing Microsoft baseline. There's no granular way to do this, right? Because everybody does cyber different. So if you want to go in and just scan with something like Microsoft baseline, or maybe you want to actually put some knowledge to use that you learn with some OpenVAS or CrowdStrike, or maybe you want to go download the Splunk enterprise tool for 60 days. So you start playing around with them so you can actually, while you're scanning, you find your vulnerabilities, you document, you build out your vulnerability report. Now, blue team comes in, they set up their node or their SIEM, right? And now, while this node is set up, now you're actually going to try to exploit it. One of the suggested tools is obviously Wireshark. So throwing Wireshark and a SIEM together, while now you're actively pursuing trying to gain interest into this box. So now you can actually watch yourself and because what were we taught as analysts on the red team side? Document every damn thing you do.
Lies,
right? Because
lies and deceit. No, you don't.
One of the pen test, one of the things that I noticed that a lot of the pen test academies and stuff like that don't teach is you have to clean your tracks. How can you clean your tracks if you don't follow yourself?
Time out. Hold up. I will say this on the note of what you're teaching. And I love the fact that you're giving this scholarship. So this is why I want to promote it. With this scholarship, if you can get a ethical hacking course with Keytron Evans of Infosec Institute, please motherfucking do it. because this dude will teach you how to cover your tracks. He doesn't give a damn. He will help you pass the certification, but the shit he showed me was beyond any certification. It was legitimately how to do the job and how to cover your tracks. It was even malware he developed and sent the Metasploit in all your antivirus programs just so nobody can reuse it. But it was shit of, hey, I'm going to hide your system files, and now you're going to reinstall your entire system because your system crashed. Like, people don't think of this. But yes, I just had to put that out there because when you talk about covering your tracks, he's the first person that comes to mind because he taught me how.
And that's really the great thing, right? With the scholarship, we're covering up $400. So I have part 2 of the fundraiser already built with how to apply and what the steps are. Challenge for any challenge, there's roughly 6 or 7 reports that you have to do for that challenge to be successful, but we're only requiring 3 of those reports as submission for the community challenge. So the scholarship will be graded by, or for the scholarship, general scholarship will be graded by our illustrious board of advisors. James Azar, Renee Small, Heather Case, Ollie Stiles, Patrick Gillespie. So all of these household names that you already know, and they're going to grade your stuff, right? And we're looking for the authenticity. We're looking for, did you soul search? Do you know exactly the roles you want to do? Or are you going to come at another mentor with, I want to do cybersecurity? Those are hurtful words in my ears anytime I talk to a new mentee. And that's why we break down the NICE framework with them.
Cybersecurity is not a job. It's a career field.
It's a lifestyle.
This is true, too. So I've got 2 things. We are coming to the top of the hour here in about 4 minutes. So there's 2 things I want to touch on. The first one is very, very important. I think it's in the YouTube description. I got to verify. But if it's not, Paul, Alex, somebody tell us, because Rebecca Fisher wants to know, how can they donate to Whole Cyber Human Initiative in this scholarship?
So we've made actually multiple advances on that. So the first one is going to be obviously the donate now link. Let me pull it up right now.
It's in the description. I just checked.
Is it awesome? So Rebecca, head over to my YouTube channel when you get the chance. It's in the description of the video. Actually, it should be on LinkedIn too because I put the whole thing. Yeah. It's all there. So check.
We try to make it as easy as possible for any way. I mean, hell, look at a company. If a company has a sock, do they drink coffee? We have the only cyber-inspired flavor coffee on the market.
Oh, actually, that's changing. I hate to point this out. That is changing. Because Alyssa Knight is coming out with her own brand of hacker-flavored coffee.
Bring it.
So
and she's doing the same thing, too, if I'm not mistaken, is supporting the Night Riders, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. I just know her and her wife wanted to come out with their own coffee. They've been thinking about it for years, and have finally pulled the trigger on it. So I just wanted to point that out. You're not the only one anymore. There is one more that's going to give you competition.
This isn't competition. This is exactly what you said earlier.
It's all friendly competition, though, It's all about community and find it. And look, if I buy your coffee and I say you're the best flavor, that just means Alyssa has to step her game up and find a better flavor. That's all it means. And if Alyssa's better, that means you need to step your game up. I'm just saying.
But I mean, that's the thing with all of our stuff, though. When you go to our store on our website, the shirts, the swag, anything that's on the website that we sell, we don't get proceeds from it. All the proceeds go directly into a scholarship fund. The same thing we got lined up. We're on Amazon Smile. Great thing about 501, Eric, you're going to have to do it next. Get on Amazon Smile and look up Whole Cyber, and then 0.05 cents of every purchase or every dollar you blindly donate. For the companies, if there's companies that want to make a big donation, we're on Brevity now. Thanks to Alex.
You guys are awesome. Actually, I have all that in the description, just so y'all are aware. Yeah, you guys are doing amazing things to try to raise money, and I love the fact that everything you get goes back to improving the community, and that is the biggest part about it. Is making it easier for people to come into cybersecurity, for people to find out what they want to do, who they want to be, and find their love within whatever job it is. Out of the 52 that the nice framework has, they can find what field fits for them.
And that's the other piece too. When you're going through the pipeline, like Alex said, you're touching various colors of the color wheel. So maybe you did want to be a stock analyst, and then you start looking at some threat. Man, I love this. It speaks to me as a person. I've been compromised. I've always looked at emerging threats because, I care about mobile banking and crap like that. Well, there you go. You just found a niche because that is something that intrigues you.
And I tell everybody as they come in,
you don't want to get a role.
You'll find your passion. Don't just hyper focus. Everybody comes and I wants to be a red teamer, and I want to hack, and I want to do this. Listen, you will find your passion in the field of cybersecurity, and you'll find that one thing that gets you excited and gets you waking up in the morning every day.
Yeah, definitely. So as we are at the top of the hour, and Paul, I do want to thank you for being able to jump on so late. Alex, thank you for joining us. Whole Cyber Human Initiative. I'm going to get your final words here in a minute, but I do want to put something out. This show is changing, and it is changing for the better. The premise to this show is always to get new people heard. So, yes, we will still have on people on occasion, like the amazing Paul Cummings, like Alex. Me and Eric are always going to be the hosts. But from here on out, I will do everything within my power to have those trying to break into cyber, those in college, those in high school, and those within their first year, 2 years, maybe 3 years of cyber on this show, because it is all going to be about those that need to be heard. I want those people on, and then I want everybody here, every mentor, to promote this show so that those people can be seen, heard, and found. So if you are watching this and you've been in the field for more than 3, 4, 5 years and you have a network, you better be on the docket to get these people seen. That's my soapbox. I'm off of it. Before we wrap up, Alex or Eric, go ahead, and then we'll go to the to our guests.
So today is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and as you know, Raíces Cyber is the Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx, and cyber foundation that we help people, and we partner with people like Paul and Alex and the whole Human Cyber Initiative. I also want to tell that today is the last day of our cohort for Sec Plus. So we had almost, I think we had over 50 people apply to our scholarship. Unfortunately, we only had 20 spots. So our board is looking right now through all the people that applied, and we will be telling people tomorrow or the next day if they start. So great thing. We're starting with our educational series. We will be having a lot of activities for this month for Hispanic awareness, and Hispanic Heritage Month. Hispanic awareness. Yeah, there's Hispanics around.
Are you sure? Are you sure that they exist?
Right here. Okay. So we're going to be having some exciting stuff. So follow us on Twitter if you're not following us, and also join us in our Discord at http://bio.link/raicescy. Please join us, and I hope to see you, and I hope to celebrate with all of you the Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Before we go, we're gonna give Paul the final say. So Alex, you're up first, man. What's your final words?
I don't know. find what you like to do. Get into cybersecurity and help us out, because we need all the help we can get.
All right, man. You're not wrong in that. We need everybody. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. We need everybody. Everyone. So if you think you can't do this, you're wrong. That's all I'm going to say. Before we go, Paul, go ahead, man.
Let's see, final words. So obviously October is coming up, and that is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. But why does it have to start in October? I say this, and I employ anybody that is a career seeker, start an Eventbrite. Get your face out there and do some cyber awareness training for your community, for your PTA, for your schools, for your colleges, for your high schools. And then I will also say that we have a cyber awareness program that we built that's free, and it's all volunteer led. So if you want to volunteer, if we can find some leads on some places to educate, come on out.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're very right. I talk in high schools at least once a year. I try to do it more. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so as we are wrapping up the show, I do want to say this weekend, and the reason why this is on Thursdays, I will be at B-Side St. Pete this Saturday, speaking on resilience and burnout. For those that don't know, I have kind of diverged a little bit from the technical aspect of this channel and doing more on mental health and taking care of yourself and making sure you are breaking into the career field the right way and doing things the right way. So that is where I will be. So if I get a YouTube video, I'm probably going to record it myself. If they don't, I'll put it up. If you can help support the channel, the show, Raices, whole Cyber Human Initiative, every single link that you're looking for is in the description. If you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, it is all below. If you're on Twitch, I've been running that shit in the banner all week or all show. So by all means, please. I could use all the support I can get because travel is expensive. It cost me $1,000. Dancing Granny is here as we are signing off. I love you all. Please take care, spread cyber awareness, practice safe cyber, as Eric loves to say. And I will see you all in the next one.